those who vote for Biden are dooming the market, and as soon as new money stops flowing into the economy, it will start to die. They predict challenging times for the banking sector. Welcome to the Coin Post. Why are we looking at the stock market? Each viewer will answer this question differently. Because for someone, it's a risk of losing the money they invested. For others, it's a signal that hard times are coming and that it's time to stockpile toilet paper again. And for others, it's the real reason for the price fall of other assets, such as gold or cryptocurrency. And I mentioned gold for a reason, as during the panic sale, it would also collapse, even though it's considered a protective asset. If you doubt that, you can pause the video and compare the S&P 500 index charts and gold prices. On the same chart, you'll see how much the stock market has been pumped and that it needs a correction. But when, or rather why, could it happen? In this video, I'll give you 3 reasons why investing in stocks today could end up in tears of disappointment tomorrow. Only our regular viewers know how to avoid the worst, so subscribe to the channel right now. Let's start. The first cause of the stock market collapse is the US presidential election on November 3rd. Everyone is talking about it, and I'll try to surprise you with the rest too, but let's go through the first one first. Let's see what Donald Trump is offering us. He promises to continue his policy of strengthening the US domestic market, that is, he will continue to pressure China, as well as American companies, to take back their production and create new jobs. According to Trump, this project could generate 10 million new jobs, which is a little less than the current unemployment rate caused by the coronavirus pandemic. The Bank of America has already estimated that this would require about $1 trillion. And if, for example, Apple has plenty of money to move its production back to the United States, then many other companies don't have the necessary financing. Without government support in the form of cheap credits, they won't be able to meet the president's demand. Besides, Donald Trump promises a permanent payroll tax cut and a new stock price high before the election, and most importantly, its growth afterwards. As for me, I have doubts about those promises, which I shared in this video. You can find the link in the description box. On the contrary, there is Joe Biden, who has officially confirmed his participation in future elections. To be sure, Biden is not planning on crashing the stock market, but this is what Donald Trump is campaigning on. Like, those who vote for Biden are dooming the market, imposing new taxes and losing the trade war to China. In less than 3 months, we're gonna find out who will be the next president of the United States. But as I mentioned in the video I was talking about, Biden doesn't need a stock market crash, as it is an awful start for a new presidential term. On the contrary, after the election, Donald Trump might lose interest to press the Fed to keep pouring liquidity into the markets. And the Fed, they don't want to go on, and I'll tell you more about it next. The coronavirus story will be included in medical textbooks and finance ones because no crisis can harm the economy as much as an artificial quarantine. If you look at the global coronavirus disease statistics, the pandemic doesn't even think of going down. There are precedents for repeated restrictions in several countries, though the authorities are trying their best to prevent a second quarantine. If you read the report of the last Fed meeting, that is what they fear most. As a countermeasure to the recession, they promise to keep the federal funds rate around 0 as long as it takes to recover. By the way, after the 2008 crisis, the Fed started to raise the rate only in 2015. Since the beginning of the pandemic, many people have been investing in pharmaceutical companies that are developing vaccines, because humanity has to solve the current problem somehow. And this very vaccine, which is sort of already there or in the final stages of testing and will be ready in a few months, is the cause number 2 for the market collapse. The problem is that we kinda adapted to the current conditions, and COVID-19 has changed the way we live. We might have the vaccine tomorrow, then everyone gets vaccinated and the disease will be gone. But is it gonna solve all the problems in the economy? Because right now a lot of people are still out of work, not because of the quarantine measures and that everything is closed, but because there are no customers. And this is a global issue. International supply chains have been restored and the oil market is at the bottom because there is no demand. And there are many other examples. During the time of forced isolation, it dawned on us that we'd been consuming, that is, spending much more than we need to. The vaccine isn't gonna solve this problem, and the world won't be able to go back to the previous consumption model overnight. But once the coronavirus is officially defeated, institutions like the Fed, the ECB, and the rest of the central banks will have a sound argument for cutting financial support. And as soon as new money stops flowing into the economy, it will start to die. Because not only the business but also the big companies are on a needle of grants or free loans, and if it's taken away, the bubble may just burst. If you find this video interesting and useful, help me to make even more content. Please give us your like, it will motivate me and be a signal to YouTube to promote this video. The final reason is a possible bank crisis. The official cause of the previous crisis was the bankruptcy of the once largest American bank, Lehman Brothers. And if we look at the latest Berkshire Hathaway report, we'll find information about Warren Buffett selling his shares in JPMorgan, Chase, and Wells Fargo. The same report referred to the purchase of shares of a gold mining company from Canada. After that, many began to attack Buffett, as he used to criticize gold and now buys it. But personally, I want to speak in support of the Oracle of Omaha, because before you criticize a legendary investor and claim that his strategy doesn't work, you have to be on the same level as him. Buffett is in the top 5 richest people globally, and none of his opponents are anywhere near it. And anyone who wants to dig a little deeper will understand why Warren Buffett's purchase of Barrick Gold stocks did not violate any of his principles. I specifically remembered his approach to investing because it involves buying a business for a long time. The crisis for Buffett is an opportunity to buy a new company at a reasonable price. He recently invested almost $10 billion in Dominion Energy, and he only sells shares when he doesn't see any further profit prospects out of this business. That's why he got rid of the airline shares and now got to the bank sale. And he did so not because Buffett's own indicator began to warn about the bubble, as it was in 2000. The reason for this is that, despite a hugely successful second quarter at the expense of high trading revenues, JPMorgan has put $10 billion in reserves to cover future losses on outstanding loans. And that's what all the banks that made a profit did. They're actively forming an airbag and, in fact, stating the whole world that we're waiting for big problems and that we don't know if we could solve them. You should not forget the fact that after the election, or a vaccine is found, the Fed can stop lending banks, and the borrowers wouldn't be able to repay because the economy wouldn't be working. Will we then see history repeating as in 2008? I don't know, but if I analyze the behavior of the top investors in the world, they predict challenging times for the banking sector in the long term. I'm sure our subscribers know how to get ready for the crisis and take advantage of this moment for financial gain. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you can fix it with a simple click or 2. Don't forget to turn on the notifications, please. Share in the comments how you think the crisis can go on. And that's it for now. Thank you for watching. It's the Coin Post channel. Subscribe and get enlightened.